Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. Many netizens who have read the Tensura novel jokingly call Rimuru the Lord of Meetings and the Lord of Banquets. In our last episode, we witnessed how Rimuru was kept busy attending to various guests. In this episode, we delve into the details of the first day of the national celebration. Let's get started. On the morning of the first day of the national festival, it was time for Rimuru to deliver the inaugural speech. Streets of the Monster Federation were packed with over 100,000 individuals from various races. Rimuru stood on the balcony of the Central Assembly Hall, looking down at the gathered crowd. With a loudspeaker in hand, he commenced the Monster Federation's inaugural address. He spoke about his dreams since arriving in this world. Despite being a demon lord, he had no intention of antagonizing humans. Instead, he aspired to establish a nation where humans and monsters could coexist peacefully, aiming for a brighter future. Rimuru also conveyed that if the royals and nobles of other nations were hesitant to trust monsters, it was acceptable. Trust could be nurtured through continuous interactions. However, if anyone dared to mistreat the Monster Federation solely because of its monster inhabitants, they would face consequences, as evident from the recent downfall of the Falmouth Kingdom. Although Rimuru despises war, he isn't against using it as a means to achieve peace. As Rimuru's speech concluded, not only the residents of Tempest but also visitors from other countries cheered with excitement. More than half of them began to trust Rimuru and, by extension, the Monster Federation. Thus, the national celebration officially commenced, and Rimuru returned to the hall on the first floor. In my view, the image of Rimuru, standing on the central balcony overlooking the vast crowd, is both iconic and emblematic of the challenges he faces as a leader. His impassioned speech offers a blend of hope, determination, and a hint of a warning, emphasizing the harmonious world he envisions where monsters and humans coexist. Returning to the audience's perspective, it was during this moment that Chloe and Rimuru's other students came to the realization that Rimuru was, in fact, the monarch of the nation. The freshly dressed children expressed their shock. Rimuru realized he hadn't informed them about his status. After affectionately patting Alice and Chloe's heads, he began briefing them about the festival's protocol, pondering who might assist in looking after them. Most of his subordinates were busy. Diablo was refereeing a martial arts competition, Hakuru, the father of Momiji, was spending time with her, and Benimaru served as Rimuru's guard. For a moment, Rimuru couldn't think of a suitable person to take care of the children. As Rimuru pondered, Hinata, dressed in an almost black indigo sleeveless dress exuding an indescribable allure, happened to pass by and greeted him. Hinata noticed Rimuru's contemplative demeanor and wondered if something was troubling him. Clearing his throat, Rimuru introduced the children to Hinata Sakaguchi, leader of the Holy Knights. As renowned alumni of the Free Academy, the kids had heard tales of Hinata surpassing the legendary Shuzi-sensei in just a month. Soon, Hinata had all 5 kids wrapped around her finger, becoming their companion for the festival. Shifting the focus back to Rimuru, under Rigurdo's guidance, Rimuru, Yuki, and others attended 2 events that day, a music appreciation gathering and a technical presentation. Aiming to share his culture and elevate the monster's artistic acumen, with the help of the Lord of Wisdom, Rimuru compiled music knowledge from his time in Japan and instrument details from this world's libraries. This compilation, sold as books, allowed even the less culturally adept monsters to learn about music. The outcome was undeniably stunning. Masterpieces created by geniuses from another world, like Beethoven and Mozart, captivated the nobles and royals of this realm. The atmosphere inside and outside the venue brimmed with joy. By the afternoon technical presentation, revelations about cultivating hippocute herbs and the essence of magicule defied everyone's understanding. Even Demon Lord Luminous, who had entered into a century-long ceasefire with the Monster Federation, reached out to Rimuru for discussions, expressing her desire to enhance both cultural and technological ties between their realms. Without hesitation, Rimuru agreed. In return, Luminous granted him a new skill, the secret of faith and grace. Simply put, this ability was the principle of holy magic itself. Using Rimuru's name as a conduit, users could harness a fragment of his power, akin to how the paladins faithful to Luminous could wield holy magic. If Rimuru mastered this principle, his followers could invoke what they perceived as holy magic in his name. As their discussion concluded, Rimuru and Luminous shook hands in agreement. Luminous, keeping her composure, mentioned detecting an unsettling aura from some of Rimuru's guests, to which Rimuru affirmed he sensed something amiss. She cautioned him to maintain the Octagram Demon Lord's reputation. With a nod, Rimuru departed the guest house. Thus, with the inaugural day of the nation's foundation mostly earning praise, Rimuru's initial doubts about its success evaporated. But subsequent meetings made him realize how naive his assumptions had been. That evening, at 9 p.m., a routine report meeting was convened. Officers from various departments gathered in the conference room, except for Finance Minister Malmal. Waiting for roughly 20 minutes while conversing with other officers, a visibly distressed Malmal finally staggered in. After catching his breath and with Shuna providing a comforting cup of tea, Rimuru learned the issue at hand. Due to the national inauguration festivities, a multitude of traders from around the world had flocked to the Monster Federation, setting up exchanges with local merchants. Malmal had cautiously allowed them to trade with gold coins. However, a significant problem arose. The treasury ran out of gold coins, inciting the anger of the merchants who now demanded payment within 2 days. Rimuru was perplexed. They had acquired vast treasures from Demon Lord Clayman's castle and also 1,500 stellar gold coins from the Falmouth Kingdom thanks to Diablo. Even hosting 100 national inaugurals wouldn't deplete those funds. Why was this crisis happening? Regarding this, Malmal responded. The stellar gold coins and treasures couldn't be used as circulating currency. According to his original budget, there would have been larger transactions involving the use of these stellar gold coins. The regular gold coins returned as change from these transactions would sustain their current operations. Moreover, relying on his close connections with major shopkeepers, he believed some flexibility in payment methods would be possible. However, the merchants now seemed to be facing their own issues, insisting on payments exclusively in regular gold coins and not accepting promissory notes or treasures. From this, it was evident that someone was intentionally pulling strings behind the scenes, aiming to undermine the Monster Federation's first major trade event. The intent was clear: to shake the merchants' trust in the new nation, affecting future transactions. But what could the merchants possibly gain from this sabotage? The officials were puzzled and a heavy silence loomed. It was then that Diablo voiced his perspective, noting the perplexing nature of humans. Humans needed collaboration to survive, yet they were often obsessed with establishing hierarchies among allies. Therefore, when two or more groups were adjacent, they quarreled over dominance. These frail and pitiable beings must be profoundly fearful of any compromise to their interests. Diablo posited that Rimuru's cooperative circle, which included nations like Sarian Dynasty and the Dwargen Kingdom, might be perceived as a threat to the Western Council's standing. Here we can see, Diablo clarified the situation in straightforward terms. The officials gradually understood the bigger picture, their indignation evident as they began proposing various solutions. After a period of discussion, Rimuru acknowledged the dilemma. However, the adversaries' actions were legally sound, adhering to international norms. Since they were merchants from all over the world, using universal regulations posed no issues. And it was not in Rimuru's place to impose the Monster Federation's specific rules, as doing so might be perceived as a collective scheme, deliberately instigating problems. Taking a hard stance might backfire, risking a trust deficit between humans and monsters, counter to Rimuru's initial aim of harmonious coexistence. However, Rimuru assured the officials, if push came to shove and their adversaries became unreasonably aggressive, the Monster Federation would steadfastly enforce its own rules. Indeed, the Federation had its distinct regulations. Whether it was about rejecting ancient coins or dissatisfaction over alternative payment methods, there was no rationale for endless complaints. What they needed to do now was to do their best in the given circumstances. Hearing this, Malmal seemed to feel a weight lifted off his shoulders, his expression lightening. The meeting came to a close, with the officials setting out on their respective tasks. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. In our next episode, we'll delve into the martial arts tournament and the unveiling of Ramorous Underground Labyrinth. See you in the next one.